Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all could be with us today. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can join our chat. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. Have a returning guest that's joining us today. She has brand new things to talk to us about. She's working on a brand new anthology. We're going to talk about that. It connects in with the one that I have strategically sitting right here. We also going to talk to her about her programs, what it's been like for her to build a platform for not only authors, but also others with a message. And we're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. Going to type you guys in a welcome message over there. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books by Dr. Anissa Short. She's back with us today to talk about all the great things she's doing. Hey, Tobias, going to be to see you over there on IG. O'Brien Betty, maybe it's Betty O'Brien. Hello to you over there on IG as well. Dr. Nissa, how you doing?
I'm great, Cyrus. How are you?
Hey, doing really good. Doing really good. I tell people, it's so interesting to me. I just talked to you last month, and already you have new stuff going on, and so I'm excited to be about being able to talk to you again. So, but I do want to begin the conversation there, Anissa, because you are doing a lot of great things with your show, Conversation with Chosen Pen. You have other shows that you're doing. You're producing a show with your husband as well. What has it been like for you, Anissa, to have not only to be able to found the platform of media, but also to be able to show the different ways you can use media for different topics and all for different guests?
It's been an interesting journey. I think I shared this with you once before when we had a conversation, is that I'm just busy putting my hand to work to do the things that I know that might make a difference, to afford others opportunity. You referenced my husband's podcast. And so that's something he'd been talking about. We've talked about it for a while.
Hmm.
So assisting him with that is not anything out of the norm, but it wasn't until you brought it to my attention that I was creating a quote media foundation I was entering into the media circuit, and I'm thinking,
Hmm.
oh, you know what? I guess you're right. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the ride. I believe I've been afforded and blessed to use my gifts and talents to the best of their ability. So
Right.
I'm doing everything I'm doing. It doesn't seem like work. So I just hope it pays off in varied ways. It's going to pay
Yeah.
off, and many people will be impacted for the good and benefit from it.
Yeah. And even before we get to what we're going to be talking about today, which is you do have a new anthology, Anissa, we're going to be talking about that. It is a connection to the quintessential woman. I'm going to highlight it for our audience over on the Amazon side. But also the other work you do. I have some of your other anthologies here. You are someone, when I think of you, one of the things I think of that I can share publicly is that you are connected. You're a person that connects, and you do it so well. What has it been like for you to have taken what is truly a gift for you and to be able to use it in building your business and your brand?
And I'm in my element, honestly. I'm doing this and I'm loving the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't call it, I can't, and I can't say it any other way. Even in these collaborative projects that I facilitated and curated, and case in point, I have one young lady who's a part of the newest book. And when she
Mhm.
submitted her manuscript, I said, "Why did you write about this?" And she was like, "Well, I thought it was important." And I was like, "I want you to submit a totally different manuscript because I
Yeah.
want you to tie your story to what you do professionally. I want not just these projects to provide a message to the readers, but I want those who participate with me to be able to own it as well and make it an extension of who they are and what they're already doing. So they serve a twofold purpose. So I'm in my element. I'm loving it, and I'm not complaining. I just it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
effort, but it's fun for me. It really is.
Yeah. And to the point you were making earlier, Nissa, is that, yeah, I mean, anyone, I think the world is showing us now, we are seeing so much change, so much is in flux. The way people get information is quickly changing. The way people are becoming stars in their own right is really right on this thing right now
It
on the
really is.
phone. And I think too, as I mentioned, as you said, I mentioned to you, you are creating your own network. You have different programs on your channel that people can consume. And that is the future. That is where we are now. Is that something though that you could have imagined for yourself? And this because when this all began for you, especially when it comes to what you did with Chosen Pen, it all was supposed to be with one book. And
Yeah.
now here you are running things. I mean, could you have imagined that things would unfold the way they have?
You know, you asked me that question once before, and I told you no, I never could have imagined this. But I have to go back and revisit that conversation because
Okay.
before I graduated high school, I said to my mom I was going to be a journalist. I saw myself on the doing the evening news, and that was
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I wanted braces because I wanted my smile to look okay
Gotcha.
on the news. I remember saying that I was going to go into. I don't know if I really wanted to pursue journalism as much as I wanted to be the personality on a talk show or something of that nature. I can remember that vividly. Of course, that changed
Wow.
business and accounting. But I thought about it later when you asked that question. I was like, I didn't answer that correctly. At one
Mm,
time, I wanted to be the person on doing the interviews, facilitating the interviews, and getting the information out to the masses. I
yeah.
saw day full circle moment, and I'm doing that to some degree.
Yes, you are. You are. And I think so many times, especially for those of us who things may seem to come naturally in this, we don't n- automatically see it, right? We just doing what it is that we do. But you mentioned earlier on the author that you're working with on the new project. We're going to get into that anthology and what kind of led to that after you wrote The Quintessential Woman for yourself. And that is the impact you are making because you are doing exactly what you said you wanted to do. You're impacting an audience, you're impacting other people to share their stories, the way you were impacted to share your story. What has that part been like for you to see that there are that your opus is coming up? Those who you've been able to profile in books like you have in other anthologies and helping to be able to shepherd their work to publishing. How does it feel to see the people you've been able to touch and to hear what they have to say about the impact you've made on them?
It's a gift. It really is. I feel blessed. I'm fortunate,
Hmm.
especially when I put out or I extend invitation to be a part of another project. For those who have worked with me in the past, they immediately say yes, because they want to do this and they see the value in it. So I consider it to be a gift that I give, but also a gift that I've been able to receive. And so for that, I'm thankful.
Yeah. Emma, great author. Hello to you over there on IG. Glad you can be able to join us. I'm going to reset real quick and this and say for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're on Amazon Live, but we're simulcasting this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. We have Dr. Anissa Short back with us today. You guys know her as a best-selling author. She's also the principal of the Chosen Pen Group, and she's a media personality in her own right as well. We're talking with her about a lot of great things that are happening for her as we're kicking off this month, including Nissa, you're preparing for your new anthology that ties in with The Quintessential Woman. So, first of all, for those who I'm going to highlight it again for our Amazon audience, tell them about how this book, The Quintessential Woman, came about and how you decided to expand on it by putting to life an anthology.
So the quintessential woman, that the book that you'll have on display, is actually a book that came about during a private, like I don't know, a season of my life when I was going
Okay.
through some changes and not quite sure of the direction I should go next. And so anytime I find myself in that position, I have to have quiet time to myself to meditate, to pray, to study. And so the Proverbs 31 woman kept coming back to me as a template from which to study. Now, of course, growing up in the South, we knew the Proverbs 31 woman was a good wife who cooked and took care of her babies. That was about all they told us. And so when I began to study that for myself, I realized there were more layers to her.
Yeah.
She represents in so many different ways, which speaks to women today. We wear lots of hats. There are many layers to us. And while we might be very effective as a wife and very effective as a mother or a spouse or in a career place, but we're also doing so many other things. So what that reminded me of was that while I was in a transition state, my purpose and the impact I make had not been changed. It just needed to make a pivot. And so that became kind of a sounding board for this particular book. So I took what I studied myself and created into a devotional, but I could not think of a title that fit. I didn't want it to be the Proverbs 31 woman. What does the Bible say? I didn't want it to be that. I wanted it to be
Yeah.
something that spoke to women, whether they were Christians or not, because it's even though it has a biblical base. And then the word quintessential came across my eyesight. I don't know if I was reading something, and I love that word.
Hmm.
Then I looked it up, and it says that The word quintessential refers to the perfect, typical, or essential representation of a class or quality. And I thought, it embodies the characteristics, significant characteristics is what it embodies. So I thought to myself, all of us to some degree are a blueprint or a roadmap for someone else. That's what makes us quintessential. Our stories, our life situations, the things that we overcome can be messages given to someone else, much like the Proverbs 31 woman is to us. And so this next book is a play on the quintessential woman, is voices of the quintessential woman. What would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give to someone else if they were asked about marriage, education, career? Those are the words of wisdom or the nuggets that we want to extend. And that's what that book represents, the one that's coming out next month.
Got it. Got it. And we're going to let you tell our audience later, Anissa, how they can go ahead and be able to pre-order that as well. Now, the other thing is you mentioned now just about marriage, which is an interesting tie-in to another thing that you kind of glossed over earlier, and that is not only are you a producer on your husband's podcast, The Man Exchange, you also host a show together, and you have a book together as well. Talk to us about that. I mean, it has to be a great feeling to not only have a supportive spouse, but also someone you can build your brand with. What has that been like for you navigating not only what you guys have been able to do and now with the book, but also with your podcast as well?
The podcast came about as a result of our move because we had been talking for the longest time about hosting events that would support married couples, just like date night events. And then we started in North Carolina and then up and moved. And so us going live monthly to continue in that vein with that mission in mind is where we landed until we had a great conversation with a phenomenal person who shall remain nameless, who told us that we were basically wasting our time doing it monthly. But that was a great push because we had talked about a weekly broadcast anyway. And then tying it into the book that we've written together, which is like a devotional for couples, just made sense. And so starting next month in March, we're going to begin doing a weekly on Thursday nights, a segment called the Love and Laughter Experience, which is what we've been doing anyway. And it pays homage to the covenant of marriage, and it provides with insight. We're going to share things ourselves, but then we'll occasionally have other couples who have been married to offer wisdom nuggets to other couples. And so I'm excited about it. To have Alfonso be willing to us to do this together is a blessing. He's been my number one fan since day one, so I am blessed. Sure.
Yeah, and he's always singing your praises as well, Anissa. So, Anissa, the other thing I want to talk to you about, though, going back to the media aspect, and again, I hope our audience that's watching this, if you have something that you're interested in, my encouragement is to start a podcast. If you have something that you love, start a podcast. If there's a topic that you love to discuss, whether it's cooking or comic books, your favorite shows on television, start a podcast. I think if anything we have seen, especially in the past 3 weeks, if you're looking at the changing landscape of television, that anybody these days can become a star of their own platform, but you have to start the platform. I thought it was so interesting, in one of the things in this, and I shared with you and the rest of my group about, of course, Sherry Shepherd's show not being renewed. One of the things someone literally wrote on her Instagram page, Anissa, start a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Because again, that's where a lot of people are moving to. I bring that up to say you have conversations with Chosen Pen, but also you've been able to build off into other channels on your network. Talk to us about that, what that's been like for you, as you said. And it's so interesting. I'm so glad you shared with me that full circle moment of you wanting to be exactly what you became. But what has it been like for you now to be able to do that in different capacities in this with different shows?
I wish I could tell you that it was a beautiful transition and I laid this all out, with a 5-step plan of how I was going to come together. But that was not at all my journey. My journey started with the conversations with Chosen Pen broadcast, thanks to Dr. Norma McLaughlin and me working with her, and we amplified the voices of authors, entrepreneurs, and speakers. But then, of course, with Alfonso, my husband, taking on his mandate of working with boys and men, the man exchange came about. And so
Mhm.
he'd already been mentoring young boys and hosting camps for boys and teaching them, life skills and core values, but wanting to take it to another level and including men sharing nuggets, across platforms.
Mhm.
And so his podcast then came about, along with the one that I made reference to with regards to the married couples. And so then next thing I knew, thanks to you, you said, well, you're building a media platform. And I'm thinking, oh, I guess so. So now it's about getting the YouTube channels in place, because
Mhm.
again, I wasn't thinking in that capacity. I'm just
Yeah.
being busy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
I
it's
get it.
together. So now I'm having to double back and go back and put some things in place that probably should have been done in the onset, so that not only what we're sharing is being shared on these social media platforms, but then we're actually tapping into the Spotify's and the other podcast platforms that are
Mhm.
available to us. And I want to say thank you to you for, being that you put to push the buttons and to flip the switches that needed to be done in order to make sure that we maximize what we're investing our time and energies into.
Well, I appreciate that. And look, we all I think benefit from others. I know I do, and I appreciate you saying that. Hello to you, Jermaine Gross. Good to see you over there on IG as well. But I want to wrap up by talking about this, Anissa, and that is again what you're doing by example. And I think it's so easy for us. So many people are used to being talk to. You're showing by example what's possible. And I love the fact that you say it's work. And yes, it is work. And I think a lot of times people see what you do and this and they say, "Oh, you make it look so easy." I think I want to do that. What advice do you give? Because I know they come to you. You and I haven't talked about it, but I know people come to you and say, "How are you doing this?" or "How did you do that?" What advice do you normally give them, not only about starting, but also the importance of consistency, which is really the key?
It is key. One of the things I'll say it is to really piggyback on something you said earlier. If there's something you're interested in, something that you enjoy talking about, something that you enjoy doing it, then start your podcast.
Hmm.
You don't want to start a podcast just because you saw someone else do that,
Yeah.
because it's hard to stick it out because you're really not as invested as you thought you might would have been. But
Hmm.
when you're doing something that you love, that you are gifted to do already, that you have a certain your inclination for, it doesn't seem like work. So to
Right.
participate, into schedule and to plan and to put things in place is just a part of the process. It's not,
Mm.
you don't see it as work. Everyone else says, oh my God, you're so busy when you rest. And I'm like, I take naps, but I got to get it done
Right.
in it
Right.
because I'm interested in it, because it falls in line. I'm in perfect alignment with my skills, gifts, talents, etc. So if
Mhm.
anyone were interested in doing the same thing, if you're not going to start first from a place of passion and purpose and willing to mix in it the consistency and dedication, it's not going to work for you. You have to be committed. Find a purpose, be passionate about that purpose, and then the podcast and anything that you do adjacent to it or connected to it will grow, because you're working from a place of authenticity first and foremost, and you're doing that which you love and that you're wired to do.
Right. And I will say this too, because I know this always comes up. Hey, Jacqueline, good to see you over there on IG. Jacqueline says, "Amen. God's gift is inheritance, never work." Yeah, and I think I want to say this too. Don't go into it thinking automatically about the money. The
Oh my,
money will come, but go into it because, as Anissa said, you really love it because that is really the key.
it is.
If you go 90 days and don't make a dollar and you quit, then it wasn't really something you loved.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing I would just add to that. Just make sure that it's something you're willing to invest the time into, because it definitely will pay off. Again, everyone, Dr. Anissa Short has been our guest. Great conversation with you as well, Anissa. Again, she is the host of Conversations with Chosen Pen. As you heard her mention, she's working on other projects too, but she has a new book that's getting ready to come out. So, Anissa, I want you to let our audience know, how can they be able to pre-order the new book, but also how can they stay connected with you?
Well, they can find me on social media. Definitely. They can go to my Facebook page, which is Dr. Anissa Short, and they can go to my LinkedIn page, Dr. Anissa Short. And
Mhm.
when you connect with me through those two platforms, I'll provide you with more information and a link to pre-order your copy if you'd like to do so.
Love it. Dr. Anissa, always a pleasure speaking with you and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thanks again, Cyrus, for everything.
Hey, glad to have you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, y'all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.